Good morning, and welcome back to Books and Gratitude, the podcast where we slow down, step into the worlds created by authors, and celebrate the stories that stay with us long after we turn the page. Today I'm talking about Remnant by Tyler Cook, and this is a book that absolutely earns a 5-star review from me. If you enjoy fantasy that blends high-stake action, powerful mythology, and deeply personal character struggles, this is a story that deserves a place on your reading list. The novel opens in the city of Canton, a place that has already stared catastrophe in the face. After narrowly avoiding a nuclear holocaust, the citizens of Canton believe they've finally found stability. There's a sense of hard-won peace in the air, an understanding that they survived something unimaginable and that perhaps the worst is finally behind them. But as the story quickly reveals, peace can be fragile. Now, a new and deeply settling force begins to emerge over the city. That force is Remnant, a figure tied to the legacy of Aluria and driven by a purpose that threatens not just Canton, but the entire world. And Remnant is not simply another enemy rising to challenge the heroes. This character represents something darker, something far more dangerous, an enemy who has learned to wield death itself as a weapon. And that's where the story's central character, Jason Connor, comes into focus. Jason isn't entering the story as someone looking for another battle. In fact, the timing couldn't be worse for him. His life is already complicated in ways that feel very real and very human. He's preparing to marry Princess Tessa Warren, but the path toward that future is anything but smooth. Personal pressures, political tensions, and outside forces are already pulling at the seams of what should be a joyful chapter in his life. At the same time, Jason's company is facing a takeover, threatening everything he's built and everything he hoped would provide stability for the future. And perhaps most importantly, his fears losing the people he considers family, the connections that ground him and give his life real meaning. So when a new war begins to loom in the horizon, Jason is the last person who wants to be pulled back into that fight. But stories like this remind us that sometimes the people who feel the least ready for battle are the ones who understand the cost of it the most. When Remnant begins pursuing the 4 mystical stones, artifacts tied to immense power, and sets a plan in motion to open the gate of cessation, I couldn't even pronounce that correctly in my head when I was reading. The stakes become terrifyingly clear. If that gate opens, consequences will stretch far beyond a single city or a single conflict. The fate of the world itself hangs in the balance. And Jason realizes he can't stand aside. To confront this threat, he has to unleash something within himself that carries both incredible power and a heavy burden. That power is Aluria, the ancient force living within him and the last surviving legacy of the Valdorte. This element of the story is one of the most fascinating aspects of Tyler Cook's world building. Aluria isn't just a convenient power for the hero to call upon. It represents heritage, responsibility, and the lingering weight of an ancient past that refuses to stay buried. When Jason taps into that force, it's not just about strength. It's about identity and sacrifice and the danger of losing yourself in something so much greater than you. And what makes Remnant stand out is how effectively it balances epic fantasy scale with deeply personal storytelling. Yes, there are massive stakes. Yes, there's dark magic colliding with divine power. And yes, the story moves through moments of intense confrontation and rising danger that keep the pages turning. But at the heart of it all is a character wrestling with what it means to protect the world when doing so might cost him everything that makes that world worth saving. Jason's journey feels layered and emotionally grounded. He isn't a flawless hero marching confidently towards victory. He's someone dealing with uncertainty, fear, and the possibility that even doing the right thing must not be enough. And that uncertainty adds real tension to the story. Another element worth highlighting is the atmosphere Cook creates around the villain. Remnant is not just powerful, they are unsettling, creepily unsettling. It's an enemy who has mastered death itself, brings an eerie weight to every confrontation. And there's a sense that the usual rules of conflict don't apply anymore, and that the characters are stepping into territory where survival isn't really guaranteed. And that kind of villain raises the stakes in a way that makes every decision feel urgent, and it is urgent. And as the story unfolds, the mythology surrounding the Four Stones and the Gate of Cessation, I hope I'm saying that right, adds layers of mystery and intrigue. These elements expand the world beyond a single battle and hint at a deeper history shaping the events of the present. It's the kind of lore that invites readers to lean in, to wonder about what came before and what might come next. And throughout the book, Cook keeps the pacing strong. Moments of action are balanced with character reflection and emotional tension, and it allows readers to connect with the people at the center of the conflict rather than simply watching events unfold from a distance. And by the time the story reaches its most intense moments, it becomes clear that this is more than just a fight between good and evil. It's a story about responsibility, legacy, and the courage required to face forces that seem impossible to overcome. And perhaps the most chilling of all is the realization that in this battle, defeat isn't just personal. If Jason fails, it won't simply cost him his life. It could doom the entire world. And that combination of epic stakes, layered mythology, and emotionally grounded characters is exactly why Remnant earns a 5-star rating. It's the kind of story that pulls you in with action and suspense, but keeps you engaged because you care about the people at the heart of the conflict. So, for my listeners who enjoy fantasy that blends dark magic, ancient power, and heroes forced to confront impossible choices, Remnant by Tyler Cook is absolutely worth reading. And that brings us to the close of today's episode of Books and Gratitude. Before we wrap up, I want to end where this podcast always tries to end, with a moment of gratitude. Gratitude for authors who spend countless hours imagining worlds like this and bringing them to life on the page. Gratitude for stories that change us, entertain us, and sometimes even remind us of our own courage and resilience. And gratitude for you, the listeners and the readers, who continue to share in the love of books and storytelling. Thank you for spending part of your day here with Books and Gratitude. Your time, attention, and passion for reading are what make conversations like this possible. Until next time, keep turning pages, keep exploring new worlds, and keep finding gratitude in the stories that connect us all. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone you think will enjoy this story. Thank you, and have a great day.